What's up? Welcome back. This is the Agent Revolution podcast presented by Mike Wall Live. I wanted to come on. I got a quick rant today. And by the way, this is the place where we deconstruct the biggest challenges facing today's real estate agents so that they can build a sustainable, profitable, and most of all, fulfilling real estate business. But again, just a short episode today. If you read the title, you know that the episode today is just specifically about loyalty in business. And I think it's an important show because I want to share with you a quick thought about loyalty in business today, because I think it may help you, help you prevent some dysfunctional and disloyal relationships. And that's really important in business because, loyalty equals time, right? Loyalty, and what I mean by that is life and business is all about relationships, right? And loyalty equals time. And what I mean by that is the loyalty you give to your team leader, your broker, your spouse, anybody equals time. And time is our most precious resource, right? Money we can always make more of. Time you can never make more of. And so the reason why I wanted to do this, quick session today is just to share with you my thoughts about loyalty in business. And where this episode came from, the idea for this episode came from, is just in a one-on-one with one of my agents last week. And we actually talked about this in our team meeting on Monday, where he had received a call from, a recruiter from some other brokerage, which I think is great. And by the way, I'd be offended if he wasn't receiving phone calls because he's a great agent. And I'm never worried about any of my agents receiving those types of phone calls because it holds me accountable to add value to my agents' lives, right? I know that loyalty is only a question in the absence of value. So if I'm not providing the highest value, that highest perceived value in our industry, then I know that I'm at risk of my agents leaving, right? And in some cases, that doesn't have anything to do with loyalty at all, except that some of you are confused that it does. And let me explain that, because I've often had conversations with agents, and they think that it's a bad thing to leave their brokerage, or they're being disloyal if they leave their brokerage, even though their broker or their team leader is not adding value to their lives, right? And I want you to really think about that, because oftentimes agents are asking themselves the wrong questions, right? Business people, I think they mix up business relationships and friendships, right? Where in friendships, we expect our friends to spend time with us, our friends to nurture us, our friends to go out to dinner with, to hang out with, maybe to call every day. And those are different types of relationships than business partnerships, right? When we have a relationship with our boss or with our team leader or with our broker, our expectations should be different in that relationship than they are from a friendship. And I think that a lot of agents are confused that it is the same thing, and it's not. So the first thing I want to do is just outline or clarify for you that in a business relationship, you should have some expectations or some standards, and it should equal results for you. And if you're not currently getting results in your brokerage or on the team, and by the way, the two are one and the same, unless unless you're getting 100% of your paycheck, you're on a team. Either your broker's your team leader or your team leader's your team leader. But I digress. So if your broker or your team leader is not adding value, then you don't necessarily owe that person loyalty, because if the expectation was set when you initially came on that this person, this team leader, this broker would provide certain things to you, and they're not doing that, yet you feel loyal or obligated to them, and they're not holding up their end of the bargain, right? Hence, that loyalty is not a two-way street. Then that loyalty becomes dysfunctional. And it's not the person who's being disloyal to you anymore. It's not their fault. It actually becomes your fault for continuing to stay in that relationship. And so when you get into a business relationship, you should have certain expectations. And it's important that you ask really good questions when you get into a business relationship with someone. And you want to clarify those expectations, what yours are, and they should clarify to you what theirs are. And some really important metrics, some really important expectations in business. First and foremost are accountability, right? That if you have a team leader, or if you have a broker, someone should be holding you accountable. And I know that word is kind of taboo, but the reality of it is, and studies show that people who are held accountable, or people who have coaches, are much more likely to be more productive than those who don't. And so that should be an expectation of yours, is that somebody holds you accountable, right? So, and what that looks like is that somebody actually sits down with you, and they're willing to listen to what your goals are. They're willing to help you build a roadmap in order to get there, right? And then that also includes some daily or maybe even some weekly accountability to make sure that you're staying on track, right? And the reason why I think people confuse loyalty sometimes as it relates to disloyalty is because there's ways that you can be subtly disloyal, and there's obvious ways that you can be disloyal, right? And obvious ways that you can be disloyal are, like broken promises, or failure to pay, or maybe they don't pay you at the rate they told you they would. Those are really easy to see, right? And so those are obvious reasons why you may have a conversation about, hey, you're not holding up your end of the bargain. But those aren't the most dangerous ones. The most dangerous are the subtle disloyalties. And what I mean by that is that maybe when you start off in the relationship, that person is holding you accountable, that they're having daily or weekly or monthly meetings with you. They've built out a roadmap to help you have success. But then as time goes by, what you notice is that, maybe they miss a meeting, or maybe they call you and postpone a meeting. And then, as time goes on, more and more of this starts to happen. And then you work your way out of a relationship at all, right? And maybe it's just, then it becomes like they're liking it gets so bad that it just becomes like a like or a comment on a post on Facebook, right? It literally, the relationship deteriorates so much that when it started out, it was one-on-one, you guys working together, building a roadmap, all the way down to, hey, I'll just, my leader or my team leader or my broker, whatever, they made a comment on my Facebook post, right? Today's my anniversary, and my broker commented that happy anniversary, right? And you guys, what you have to understand is that's no longer adequate. If you are spending your time away from your friends and your family to go to work every day, you need to be in business with somebody who's willing to hold you accountable to results. And the true danger of that too is that maybe you're actually getting results, or what you deem as results, but you don't know how much more productive you could actually be with some layered in accountability. And the subtle disloyalties are the things that destroy that. Right? So make sure that whoever you're in a business relationship right now with, that you have certain expectations and certain standards that are being met, and not to confuse those with the standards and expectations of a friendship. This is a business partnership we're talking about. And, when disloyalty is detected, usually it is very subtle, right? Unless again, it's something that's obvious. But once that subtle disloyalty is detected, and maybe it's been going on for a long time for you, and it doesn't mean it's too late to make a change. But when you start to detect those subtle disloyalties, and I'm probably guilty of this as well, and I always make it a priority to try to reel myself back in, because we can all give ourselves the excuse of, hey, I was busy this week, or I've got too much going on, and I'll make that up another day. But the reality of it is that when you go to work for a company or a team leader, right, you you need to make sure your expectations and standards are being met, and that person does too, right? I mean, you may not meet the standards and the expectations of that person, and that's okay, and it's okay for that person to get out of a relationship with you as well. But I think when you devote your time and your resources to a company, to a team, to a job, to a career, that your expectations need to be met, because time is, again, our most precious resource. There is no more time. So if you devote 6 years of your life to a brokerage, to a team, and you don't have expectations or standards, or they're not being met, then you've lost that 6 years and you'll never get it back. So, while I sit here today, and in my conversation with my agent last week, kind of a bell went off in my head, and it was like, this is something that really needs to be talked about, because oftentimes these are one of the slow killers of realtors over time, is the fact that expectations are just not being met, standards are not being met, and there's no accountability to the leader or the team leader for meeting those standards. And then just over time is you settle. And that is the worst thing you could do, is just settle for your result, the results you're getting from your team leader or from your broker. And so, really this video was meant for those of you who are maybe doing really well right now, but you were promised something. You had a standard when you started, you were promised something, you had expectations, and they're just simply not being met anymore. And then, and so this video was meant to be that aha, that alarm in your head that goes off to, make sure that if you've devoted your time and resources to a certain brokerage or a certain team leader, that you're able to recognize that today, and you're able to make some changes. Either you go back to that leader, back to that broker, and say, hey, my expectations, when we started here, this was the expectation, or you told me you were going to do this, and we've somehow gotten off track, and try to get back on track. Or if you feel like that's not going to happen, then maybe it's time to make some other changes in your life, whether it be you move to a different brokerage, to a different team, or into another field altogether. It's time today to really take inventory of your relationship, your loyalty, right? It's a two-way street. Make sure that your loyalty is being met with their loyalty, and then the two loyalties align. And so really that was what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. I hope this video helps you out. I'm going to do, maybe one of these a week, because I just have these random thoughts, and I meet with my folks a lot, and they give me great ideas. But as usual, I do love sharing these stories, these videos, these thoughts week after week, because I know this is literally changing agents' financial lives, my own included. Do me a big favor. If you know someone that might enjoy the podcast, please share it with them. And if you like the podcast, please go to wherever you listen to podcasts and smash the subscribe button. Don't forget to visit MikeWallLive.com, where you can get 8 hours of 100% absolutely free real estate business training. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you again soon.